Hi, how are you? I hope you're all doing fine. Good evening and welcome to today's price action analysis video. This is the price action analysis of the 21st of April 2023. And for those of you who don't know, I always trade on the 5-minute time frame and I am pure Nifty and Bank Nifty trader. I do not trade on stocks. I don't even look at stocks. So I am giving this intro in my videos from now on because I see that the number of subscribers have increased. So let's start with the analysis. Now today we had a higher value CPR, as you can see here, and what was our bias today? It was bullish, obviously. And where was the open? The open in Nifty and Bank Nifty both were above the bottom central. And what is the rule that I've shared with you? I have told you that any open above the, any day the price opens above the bottom central of the CPR of the current day and the CPR being higher value compared to the previous day, you will have a bullish bias on the market. And what happened in Bank Nifty and Nifty today, both as you can see have opened above the CPR. So we clearly had a bullish bias in the market today. But there are a few factors you have to consider. For example, I had marked this particular supply zone and I had said in yesterday's video, if you have seen it, that this area is going to act as a strong supply zone when price comes to it, and we had marked it yesterday itself. So that is why it is important for you to mark the levels that I tell you, because you can see here how price has reacted once it's reached that supply zone. It has fallen and it has fallen big. So from the high to the low, this was the fall. It was more than 400 points today from the same supply zone that we had seen yesterday. And not every PDH and PDL are important. So just because it is a PDH and just because it is a PDL, it does not happen to be a supply zone or a demand zone. I had told you in yesterday's video, I don't tell you in every video if that particular PDH will be a supply zone or demand zone, the PDL. It just comes with experience that you start to come to know whether it is a supply zone or not. Okay, now going ahead with today's price action, you can see here that it opened with certain strong candles, right? The green candles were pretty good in size, but then it immediately went and hit the supply zone here. And I told you not to open any new trades here or not to keep any new trades open here. I told you yesterday because the H3 pivot and the supply zone were very nearby. So whatever happens, even if the price actually opens up between the H3 L3, but you have to understand that the target is H3. So today it tried to break the H3. You can see it was unable to break it and it collapsed. Likewise, even in Nifty, you can see the same thing. In Nifty also, it was not a very strong opening in Nifty obviously, but the first candle was taking resistance at the H3 and the third candle immediately broke out and closed above the H3. Now this was a very strong closing, isn't it? Because you can see that the second candle was a doji and you can see that the third candle is a very strong green candle, and immediately after that you can see that the price reversed and crashed. So the crash came because Bank Nifty had a supply zone on top, and you can see in yesterday's price action also that we had marked this particular area as a strong supply zone which has not been reached today. Why price reversed without any indication here or without any major resistance there? It was because of Bank Nifty, and that is why I always keep telling you to watch both Nifty and Bank Nifty at the same time. If one of them is coming to an important resistance, don't open any long trades to in the other index. Or if one of them has a strong demand zone, don't open any short trades or don't keep any short trades open in the other index also. So going back to Bank Nifty, I had told you yesterday, normally narrow CPRs are not really very strong. So narrow CPRs will not be able to hold price, and they usually will not act as strong supports when price comes from from the top, sorry. And you can see this is the low of the first candle, and price came down, then it spent a lot of time around the L3 pivot. You can see here L3 pivot providing support. You can see some very good wicks here on the bottom, and then the price reversed back up, went up above the CPR, but as I just said, CPR is really not important when it is narrow, and then there came a crash. So likewise, if you go to see in Nifty, you can see that in Nifty price actually came from the H3. It took resistance at the H3, fell right down to L3. Now with a bullish bias, since you had a bullish bias because the CPR was also higher value and the open was above today's CPR and previous close was above its CPR. So clearly the bias in both Nifty and Bank Nifty was bullish today, and they both opened as per our bias. So what was our outlook today? It was going to be bullish today. So you were supposed to look for long trades today. But again, you can see Nifty was taking resistance in the very first candle at the H3. It reversed down to L3. Now it has already fallen from the H3. And with a wide CPR, how should you read price? Sorry, with a narrow CPR, how should you read price? If the CPR is narrow, it means that the day might be a trending day and not a range bound day. So you can again see here that this was the 10 a.m. candle, and what happened here? This was the high of the first hour and this was the low of the first 1 hour. So this was a very high or very wide initial balance. So technically the price should stay within the initial balance if it has to be a ranging day. Okay, and if it does not stay within the initial balance and it actually happens to spill out, then that initial balance itself will act as a resistance for price. So you can see here that only the wick here has closed above the initial balance, and above this wick no other candle has really been able to close comfortably above it. Although you can see here that these candles came later, but this was just a little bit of short covering from this point onwards. And you can see here that L3 pivot is the place where you should be trading long, but we did not find any good quality reversal patterns at this level. And I just said that the target anyway is H3, but the H3 target will be strongly present there if the CPR is wide enough. So had the CPR been something like this, then we would have said that this day will have a range bound bias. But today with the narrow CPR we had a bias towards the trending side. So what happens when the bias is trending? The bias being trending means that the price might trend downwards and it might trend again upwards. So that is how you should read the narrow CPR, and that is how CPR saves the day for you. You can see how the CPR was narrow and price tended to trend today. And then eventually it took support at the L5S2 double pivot zone. This was the DPZ, which is the double pivot zone, which are pretty strong, and then it bounced from here. You are not supposed to take any trades at the L5S2, although L5S2 do provide good trades if they are together, but then you have to be very careful. You have to be a trader who trades at the L5S2 for that. So after such a big fall, you need a really big heart to really go long in the market. So it's best you don't trade, and especially the bounces that come off late are good short covering rallies, but you need to be very careful trading these patterns. Here price actually broke down from this particular demand zone, which is the box we've marked here, and there was an L4 S1 support here. So the L4 is the Camarilla level, the S1 is the floor pivot level, right? So we have a zone here which is a strong support zone, and price did break down from it, and then it kind of made this hammer pattern here. But I would for a hammer pattern to be successful, I always look for a green candle close immediately after the hammer candle. Now you can see that there is a hammer candle here, but the very next candle is a red candle, and that is not a reversal sign. So you should always follow a strict pattern, and you should not look for patterns haywirely. You should always follow strict patterns. Keep only a few patterns. Whenever the price is falling, I always keep telling you, don't run behind. So this is not the place to trade. Where do you trade here? Even if you, if you're lucky and you trade on this particular pattern where it has broken down from the CPR, and if you do keep your stop loss here on the top, then you are lucky. But this was not the way to trade. If you are trading according to what I have taught, then your bias was going to be long today, not short. So it doesn't matter what the market does, your bias is important. What your bias shows you is important, and your bias needs to be confirmed. So looking at this now, if we go to the next sessions on Monday's levels, we can see here that we have a wide CPR in Bank Nifty. You can see how wide this is, and we can also see that it is a lower value CPR, and this particular line is the H3 line. So let me just mark it in a box. This is the H3L3 of the Camarilla, and these are the H3L3. These are the H3L3 level for the Camarilla for the next day, that is the next trading session. So you can see that we are clearly on a bearish side since the close is also below the CPR. Now let's take a look at Nifty also. It is a lower value CPR as you can see, and let's see how the H3L3 are. The H3L3 are also overlapping. They're actually an outside value, but this is not to be considered, because for an outside value to be there, it has to be a very clear outside value. So it should be like this. There has to be a big difference between the two H3L3 levels, that is the third level of camellas, but which doesn't seem to be here. So you go by what the CPR is telling you. So you can clearly see the closing is below the CPR of this day, and for the next session your CPR is showing you a lower value CPR, which means in both your bias is now bearish. So as long as price opens anywhere below the top central pivot in Nifty and in Bank Nifty, this is the top central pivot, you will look for all opportunities which are to the short side. So provided the price opens between the H3L3, you will look for short trades at the H3 level. Is that clear? I have been explaining this in every video and it's a very simple concept. Any open below the top central, just wait for a small pullback to the H3 and go short on this level. Very simple concept this. And what do we have here? Do we have any particular levels to be marked? Let's mark the day high as an important supply zone here, but let's go to Bank Nifty first. Let's see how Bank Nifty has done on the 15-minute time frame for any levels that we need to mark. See, Bank Nifty, the same level continues as the supply zone, so you can just adjust this level to the candle high here. This will be the level important in Bank Nifty, no other level as of now apart from the camellas. And as you can see in Nifty, you already have the fall here at the level of the almost at the H3 level. You can take the high of this wick and adjust it like so, which is the H3, this is the H3, and which is the L4, this one is the L4 level. So as long as it opens anywhere between these areas, your bias is going to be bearish. Anywhere above this and your bias will turn bullish, that is above the H3. But then if it turns bullish, you have to see and take care that you don't go long within these areas, okay? And you have to understand that Bank Nifty also has to break out of that zone, because this zone is going to act as a strong resistance in Bank Nifty. And you can see that we have some selling pressure here also within this area. So if you want, you can keep this area also ready. But anyway, this is not important. I mean, as a resistance, it is not important, because if your candlesticks open somewhere below the top central, then any pullback up to this level is not a tradable level. Anyway, this is not a tradable level. It might be a reaction level, but not a tradable level. Your tradable level will be the H3. This is where you will look to short, but we will have to see if price pulls back to that level. Okay guys, so I think this is a good explanation for you. If you have any doubts, then do ask me in the comment section. I will be happy to solve them and sort them out. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.